Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. I'm going to do a video today on running back alignments. I got a comment from one of our followers, subscribers, asking about running back alignments, so I'm just going to talk through some different things. Make sure you check out some of our sponsors, GameStrat, our sideline replay system. There'll be a link in the description box below. Takes you directly to GameStrat's site. If you're looking for the #1 most reliable, affordable sideline replay system, make sure you check out GameStrat. All right. Max One is an app for head coaches that you can streamline your organization, communication, and workouts all into one platform, all into one avenue where you can have direct control in one app setting where you can do your schedule and your calendars and your workouts and communicate and things like, if you got to change your practice schedule or change the game date or whatever it may be, you can have one place where you can manage all that for head coaches. So make sure you check out Max One. Okay, and then DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. We have one in our weight room. Give you work on striking, hand placement, elbows in, thumbs up, all the things you need to do to strike. All right, the physicality of striking, different tensions, springs in there, so as the kids get bigger, stronger, and better at striking, they can get more resistance in there. You don't need a partner, you don't need a bag, you don't need a med ball, you don't need anybody holding anything. It's just you and the ultimate striking machine. So make sure you check out DifferenceUSA. JustPlayFB is the digital software that I use to diagram plays. If I'm doing anything for webinars or clinics or anything that I'm speaking at, it's the only play diagram tool that I use to draw the stuff that I need drawn up. So make sure you check out Just Play. All right. So in talking about running back alignments, all right. First thing I'm going to talk about is pistol, and we've gone back and forth. We've been a pistol team in the past. This past season. Past 2 seasons we were, sidecar offset. So I'm going to talk about pistol stuff first. For us, our quarterback has his heels at 5, and when we were a pistol, we had our toes 2 yards behind the quarterback's heels. All right, which probably means our heels as tailbacks, our heels were probably at 7.5. So our quarterback, all right, was heels at 5, and then our tailback was, what we told him was we wanted your toes 2 yards behind the quarterback's heels. Okay, so by putting your toes 2 yards behind the quarterback's heels, that would probably put the tailback's heels at about 7.5 yards. All right, and we, based on some of our measures and some of the things we did, we were always kind of toying with that based on the center, how good the center snaps were, how quickly they got back, and then we were always kind of playing around with it. But base alignment for us would be quarterback heels at 5, and then the tailback toes 2 yards behind the quarterback's heels. So the thing about the pistol that makes it so intriguing is when you're directly behind the quarterback, you don't give the defense any tendencies. So when I talk about running back alignments, one of the first things I talk about all the time is how to try and avoid tendencies if and when possible. And when I show you some sidecar stuff, I'll show you some of the things that we do to try and avoid that. But so pistol stuff gets it to where you can attack both sides of the defense. So from this position here, we can run the ball to the right, we can run it to the left. We can run, if you're a wide zone or an outside zone team, you can run wide zone right, wide zone left. All right, power right, power left, counter right, counter left. Any of your zone or your zero theories like us, you can run to the right or the left. So the back can be the third player in the route to the right or the third player in the route to the left. All right, so it's very hard. If you're in pass protection, it's very hard to determine which way the center might turn because the back's not set one way or the other. They can't set the 3 technique. They can't blitz the back. So it kind of throws the defense off a little bit from a tendency standpoint. All right, so that's why people like the pistol. Also, you can kind of gives it that old school eye tailback mentality where maybe you can get a little bit better downhill with your hips and your shoulders. Obviously, with wide zone stuff, it's way more conducive. It's almost like in the old eye stuff or underneath the center stuff, it's almost the same, path and track, and the quarterback can now extend and get the ball out to the back where he needs it. All right, so the pistol is a deal where you're looking to not have tendencies. You're looking to not let the defense set the 3 technique or blitz the back or do the things that they may want to do based off where the back is. The back can push and be in the route either direction. All right, so you're not really giving a team a tendency of where the alert push, if they're a pattern match defense, where the alert push might be. So, a lot of things in there that keep the offense a little bit more balanced. So the pistol has been very successful for a lot of people, and you know, it has its place in offenses with what you're trying to do. All right, as far as sniffers are concerned for us, so we used to be, you know, a pistol team and you know, a sniffer in the backfield. Our sniffers are usually 1 yard, okay? So toes 1 yard behind the heels of the O-line. All right, so our sniffers would be toes 1 yard behind the heels of the O-line, and as a base camp rule, we would split the difference between the guard and the tackle. Now, what's going to happen with the sniffer is, for us, we are going to always allow him to be kind of alignment assignment orientated. So we're going to give him the best chance to be successful based on the job that he has to do, without trying to give too many tendencies on film, if that makes sense. So for argument's sake, if the sniffer needs to kick out an end that happens to be a real hard spill player, there's times where we might cheat his alignment in a little bit to give him a little bit better angle, a little bit better leverage on that hard spill player. If the sniffer needs to arc release maybe to the mic for whatever reason, we may move him out a little bit. So depending on the splits of the guard and the tackle, we may get to a point where we shade him, or he almost splits the outside leg of the guard, then he splits the inside leg of the tackle. All right, so we kind of give him a chance to be assignment friendly, to where he can perform his and execute his assignment to the best of his ability, and we allow him to use that split to do so. Okay, but we try not to on film, depending on the angle of the film we got. We don't want it to tip off what we are doing. All right, another thing that we have to do sometimes is, when he's in the passing game, if he has to release, there's times where we've got to move him back to almost toes at 2 yards behind the O-line, because now if he's got to release and the tackle's got a set, so if the tackle's got a pass set and he's got to release, toes at 1 yard make that a little bit of an issue. So again, we have to line him up in a position where he can execute his assignment, and we want that alignment or that split to be assignment friendly, but at the same time you want to try and avoid tendencies. So to me, running back alignments have a lot to do with your meshes and the plays that you're trying to run, and where you want to get your backs to, and what you're trying to do with that sniffer. You know, if you were running split zone, I would think that there's a possibility on split zone, you know, or split V or whatever you're doing, you may want him a little bit tighter to the guard, all right, so it's not as far of a run to get wrong-armed from somebody on the other side. If you're running GF or OF counter to where it was guard pulling the kick and him wrapping, you may want him a little bit wider to the inside leg of the tackle, so that now he gives the guard a chance to kick, or if the guard has to possibly seal something because it's a hard wrong arm and he has to go around that, he's bought himself time to read all that. So you're constantly going to be playing with his alignment in about a yard box, to where he's outside leg of the guard, inside leg of the tackle, splitting the difference between the guard and the tackle. All right, so we give him a camp rule, but then we fluctuate based on the assignment that he has to execute. And then we want to be, especially when we're blocking in a run game, we want to be toes 1 yard behind heels of the O-line. But then if I got to release, sometimes I might move him back a little bit, depending on the sniffer, depending on the tackle. All right, so you know, the key with alignments is try to avoid tendencies as much as possible. So when we go into a sidecar scenario, so if we were 2 back this year, we might look like this. All right, and now when we go sidecar, all right, we are toes 1 yard behind QB heels, okay, and then we are 1 yard wide from the QB, or away from the QB. So we're kind of, you know, this is 1 by 1. So we're toes 1 yard behind them, and we're 1 yard wide of them, okay, and then depending on what we're trying to run or how we're trying to do it, we're going to adjust. And then, excuse me, depending on, again, the quarterbacks and what steps they're comfortable with, and the tailbacks and what steps they perform best, we might move him a little bit tighter if he can't get to the meshes. We might move a little bit wider if he gets to the mesh too quick. So there's always things with the running backs alignments that you can toy with as a coach or an offensive coordinator or a running backs coach or a quarterbacks coach. There is no set in stone thing that you need to do. It's whatever's best for your kids to get to where you need to get them to And then depending on the play, if he's got to be a little tighter or a little bit wider, then you just adjust it from there based on how good the center snap is and the quarterback steps and what your kids are comfortable with. But the one thing I will say you want to try to avoid, so like for us this past season, all right, the thing about having a, if you asked why offset, why sidecar, the thing I like about sidecar stuff is it now makes quarterback runs a little bit better because you can now get across the quarterback's face. When you're in the pistol, it's very hard to have any type of ball fakes or read game, like power read or you know, any type of dart read stuff or any type of bash plays, counter read or anything like that. There's no back coming across his face. The tailback's back there. You'd have to bring a guy in motion as a receiver. So the sidecar offset back stuff, I like better sometimes when there's quarterback run game involved because now we get the ability to do that, and that now gives us the ability to read a bash theory. We could fake that and run QB power or QB counter or QB dart or whatever we want to do. So I like the sidecar for that reason. I also like it personally. I know if you watch a lot of my videos the last 2 years, you realize I've said this 1,000 times, and my quarterback the past 2 years was 5'8", okay? And I was concerned early on when he was a younger kid, when we were doing some pistol stuff, I did not like the RPO mechanics from the pistol with him. And I don't know if it had to do with his height, I don't know if it had to do with his steps or his footwork. I toyed with it a little bit early on, and I just didn't like our RPO meshes from the pistol. And because we were becoming a bigger RPO team, I like the offset better for us. That's just me. I'm not saying you can't RPO from the pistol. What I'm saying is I like offset better for us. But the one thing we had to make sure is that from the same alignment, we could get to that point. So what we had to do with our backs, and you won't be able to see my feet on the video, but I'll talk you through it, is anytime we were running outside runs, we still wanted to be a yard behind the QB, because the one thing you want to avoid when you're starting to run either quarterback runs or outside runs, you really want to avoid putting a back up in this position, because the defenses nowadays with film and tendencies, they're good enough to know the position of the back, and they start telling their D linemen and backers what to expect based on where the back is. So what I would say with sidecar or offset alignment stuff is I try and avoid where I line them up maybe there behind, or I line them up there in front, because now when he's here we have those runs, and when he's here we have those runs, and the defense starts to build tendencies. So what we did is we had to work on it. It's not easy, but we had to build all our outside runs or quarterback runs or you know, any buck sweep that we did, which was a big run for us. We had to build it in to where the running back would step with his inside foot. For us, this is how we did it. His inside foot would step up at the play side, or I'm not sorry, play side leg of the center, or his side leg of the center. So play side is over here, and that's not what we wanted. So I started saying play side leg, and then I found out that that's not good. So it's his side, same side leg as the center. So we aimed with our inside foot on our first step towards that same side foot of the center, not play side foot of the center. I originally said play side, and then I started thinking, no, I don't think that's going to work. That's going to put us too flat to the QB. So we need to get up first. So we started going same side foot of the center. So his first step would be, would be about 6 to 8 inches forward towards that foot of the center, and then he would cross over. Okay, so realistic drawing would look like this, and then his second step would cross over so that he could get in front of the quarterback. So again, you won't be able to see my feet do this, but my first step would step up towards the center. All right, so 45 degrees, probably not 45 degrees. I don't know exactly what the angle is, but in getting my toe to step and align directly to the foot of my side foot of the center. And then my second step would cross over to get me into the mesh. And then what we had to do with the quarterbacks is we had to take the quarterbacks, and on those meshes and those plays, we had to step back 4 to 6 inches so that the quarterback stepped slightly back and the running back stepped up and across to go flat, so that we could get the running back where we needed to get him for those meshes from this same home position. Because again, I didn't want to get in a situation where we're up in front of the quarterback on all of our buck sweeps or power reads or quarterback runs, or play action passes. I didn't want to be up here. So I had to toy around with how we can get to the mesh where we needed to be with the tailback here. So it was step here, second step crossover to get in front of the quarterback. And again, that's all coach preference, and that's all trial and error, and figure out what works and what doesn't work. So it took us a little while to do it, and it took us a little while to figure out what was good for us and what was best for us. And so the reason I say that is though the point being, try to put him in a position where all the meshes are the same from a very similar depth, especially when he's sidecar, because as soon as you start toying with how deep he is and how far forward he is, you start building tendencies. You're going to have enough tendencies in your game plan and your formations and your play calls anyways. Nature of the beast as an offense coordinator or a play caller, you start to get into certain deals where you get comfortable with what you're calling from certain personnel groups and formations, and so you're going to have some tendencies built in that you always have to self-scout and be aware of. But I try to avoid the best I can tendencies based on alignments. So I try not to tip my hand as much as I can with the back's alignment or the sniffer's alignment, so that you don't have enough of those tendencies on film. So we had to toy around with it, had to play around with it. Every coach, it's your offense. You do what you need to do with the depth of the back, the alignment of the back, how wide he is, how tight he is. If he's in the pistol, how far back he is from the quarterback. That's up to every coach. There is no wrong answer. All right, you can look at what's best, what people think is best. When somebody asks me a question like that, I just tell them what we do. I can't really tell you, what's best, what's not best, because that's personal preference based on your kids and the shotgun snap of the center and your quarterback and the steps he's comfortable with. And, obviously if you're in the pistol and you're running some inside read stuff, or you may have to step off the midline, so the footwork is different. When you have a back that's sidecar, you may not have to clear the midline as much, and I know you can't see my lower body or my feet doing that, but when a back is in a pistol, there's times where the quarterback is physically going to have to clear, all right, the midline to get certain exchanges. When he's offset, you don't have to clear as much, so the steps are different. But even then, in the pistol, whatever steps are comfortable or whatever steps you want to teach to the quarterback or the tailback, they're all fine. They're all doable. You just have to work that out as a coach with how you want to do those things. So when it comes to running back alignments, my big pet peeve is try not to create tendencies. And then try to make it assignment friendly for the kids, so that you kind of give them a little bit of an advantage to perform and execute a certain assignment without tipping your hat on how many tendencies you build in, if that makes sense. So running back alignments is not set in stone. I think if you watch college ball or NFL ball, I think you're going to see a lot of different alignments, especially with shotgun stuff. I think you're going to see a lot of varying alignments. If you do go with an offset tailback, I think having the ability to jog him pre-snap is a good thing to do, because a lot of defenses are now going to set their 3 technique where he is, or they're going to bring pressure to the side he is or a side away from him based on tendencies of protection or what they think they're trying to do. If they think all the runs happen to the other side when he's offset and there's no same side runs, then they may run stun or pressure away from where the back is because they think they're getting runs that way. So having the ability to jog him, line him up here, pre-snap, jog him there, so that the defense maybe messes up some of their tendencies, how they set the front, or if they can move the front. So just little things like that with running back alignments I think are helpful. But at the end of the day, get your meshes to be consistent, get your meshes to be comfortable for your quarterback and your running back, and do whatever you need to do and adjust things however you need to adjust them for your offense to be successful. There is no, to me at least, honestly, there is no set running back depth that says, hey, Clemson does this, we need to do this, or Ohio State does this, we need to do that, or the 49ers do this. That's a good starting point and it's a good reference point, but there's no rules on running back alignments, so do whatever you need to do to make it best for your kids and your meshes, and keep the ball off the ground, keep things consistent, don't don't give the other team opportunities because your meshes are inconsistent, or you have bad rides in the read game and you put the ball on the ground. That's the most important thing, to be honest with you. So avoid tendencies, keep the ball off the ground, keep your meshes consistent. Find out, this is just me personally, find out what your kids like. I ask my quarterbacks and tailbacks what they like, and then we tweak it from there. And I say, all right, how about this? Take a look at this. See, do you like it? Yes or no? No, coach, that's not good for me. All right, well, then let's do this. So your kids are the one playing. You're never going to take a handoff or give a handoff probably the rest of your career. Unfortunately for us, I'm never playing again. So at the end of the day, give your opinion and what matters, but tell your kids, hey, what do you like? How can you get, this is where I need you to get. These are the steps I think you need to take. If you can't take those, what can you do to get to this spot? Well, coach, I can shuffle or I can do, and just be flexible with it. Let the kids determine what they do and what each kid does best, but try to keep your mesh points consistent. If you got two different tailbacks that might take slightly different steps, as long as they get to the mesh in the same spot all the time, you don't want one guy to take steps and meshes and the quarterback is out here and then the next guy meshes and the quarterback is in here. You got to have a consistent mesh, but I don't think the steps need to be exactly identical. Obviously, you'd like to get to that point, and that's what we strive for, so that when we're doing drills with the quarterback and the tailback, they all do the same thing over and over and over again, and you get repeatability and consistency. But at the same time, there's nothing set in stone that says every back needs to do it that way. There's some backs that like doing things a little bit different, and if they can get to the mesh in the exchange without the ball being on the ground in a way that's comfortable to them, then let them do it. All right, so make sure you guys also check out Dome Hats, which is one of our major sponsors. They do our Play Fast hats. They do my hats at the high school I'm at. Custom online hat builder that is absolutely phenomenal. They do a great job with it, and they do a great job with the custom part of it that a lot of other companies can't do. So make sure you check out Dome Hats. And then DC1, Defense Coordinator 1, they were down at the clinic. Jeff from DC1 came all the way from Texas. Great guy, good friend now. We caught up at the clinic and got to talk some other things that we never really get a chance to talk because he's in Texas, I'm in Florida. But in-game app from DC1. Make sure you check them out, Defensive Coordinator 1. Appreciate everything you guys do for me. The channel's still growing. Just had our clinic last week. We got a lot of ideas, a lot of things we want to do moving forward. But as always, it wouldn't be possible without you guys. Thank you for everything you do. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. See you next time.